Hi, and welcome to Foundations of Business Chapter 6 video lecture. This chapter is about entrepreneurship and small business ownership. When you're finished with this chapter, you should be able to answer these questions. Highlight the contributions small businesses make to the U.S. economy. List the most common reasons people start their own companies and identify the common traits of successful entrepreneurs. Explain the importance of planning a new business and outlining the key elements of a business plan. Identify the major causes of business failures and identify sources of advice and support for struggling business owners. One of the major causes of business failures is unforeseen risks. Uh, this year, with COVID-19, you've seen a lot of businesses close for good. The largest one here in Ada that I'm aware of is Cotton Patch. They are not going to reopen. We're not through the crisis yet, and it may be um, just the beginning of other businesses closing. We don't know, but that is the huge factor when it comes to business failures: is the unforeseen risks that are involved. Okay, then discuss the principal sources of small business private financing. Explain the advantages and disadvantages of franchising. Define machine learning and deep learning, and describe the importance of contemporary business. Okay, so let's get started. Big world of small business. Small business is a company that is independently owned and operated, is not dominated in its field, and employs fewer than 500 people. So if you have a business and you employ 490 people, and you're not the dominant business, you're considered a small business. I've never thought of a small business of a company that employed 490 people, but that's the definition of a small business. Economic role of a small business: they provide jobs, they introduce new products, meet needs of large organizations, inject a considerable amount of money into the economy, take risks that larger companies sometimes avoid, and provide specialized goods and services. The impact of small business on the economy. Let's see, owners by age. Under 35 is 16%, 35 to 49 is 33%, and 50 to 88 is 51%. Small businesses by employment status. 20% have employees, 80% no employees. So that would just be the owner, operator, and possibly the family of the owner, operator. And that's 80% of the small businesses. Impact on the economy. Small business has 14.3, medium and big businesses have 8.5. And that's as far as the net job creations from 1993 to 2013 in millions. So small businesses created 14.3 million new jobs, and medium and large businesses only created 8.5 million new jobs in the United States. They may have created a lot more jobs globally because of outsourcing and offshoring, but in the United States, that's what they created. Characteristics of small businesses: most small firms have a narrow focus. You don't have the resources to have a broad focus, so you focus on your niche. Uh, if you're a bricklayer, you lay bricks or rocks or anything that's masonry. You don't do carpentry, you don't do electrical work, you don't do plumbing. You focus on masonry. If you're a hairstylist, you normally just do hair. You don't normally do pedicures, manicures, massages, so on and so forth. You're uh, you're a hairstylist because that's your focus. You don't have time or resources to be a broad focused area. Entrepreneurial spirit: positive, forward thinking, desire to create profitable, sustainable businesses and enterprises. And why do people start their own companies? They feel that they're more in control over their futures. That's one of the reasons why most of the entrepreneurs that I've observed this year with the COVID-19 are so distraught because they don't have control. The government's telling them when they can open and when they can't open, and what type of customers, what the customers have to wear when they come in, or they may not be able to come in. It might only be curb service. Or I remember one news article where they were interviewing um, entrepreneurs that own bars in Texas, and the owners were so upset because the governor of Texas just said bars are closing because of the spread of COVID-19 and didn't give them any warning. So it was a Friday. They had just gotten in all the alcohol that they had planned on selling for the weekend. They had to pay for that alcohol, and now it just sits there and they can't sell it. And they may have had to borrow the money to pay for it, and expecting to make the profits over the weekend and then pay off the loan the following week. And without being open, they were not able to sell it, and so they had no idea how they were going to pay the bills. Um, so the lack of control is one of the reasons why entrepreneurs get distraught, because that is the main reason why they started their own business. They're tired of working for someone else. They have a passion for new product ideas, pursue business goals that are important to them on a personal level instead of being told what to do, and inability to find attractive employment anywhere else. That is, in a economic downturn, that's why most people become entrepreneurs. You're out of work. You have to make money somehow to pay the bills. So you start your own business. These are usually very small uh, as far as capital investment. Very little things. Could be just a landscaping business, a lawn mowing business, carpentry if they have that skill, or it could be a tax business if they were an accountant or bookkeeper. Anything like that that they would start basically on their own. More of a service type is what it normally is, because they need the cash to pay the bills because they're unemployed. Okay, so qualities shared by successful entrepreneurs. Here's a whole list of them. There's the list of confidence factors, list of passion factors, list of drive factors. You may see that a business is up and coming and you know it's going to take off, but if you have no passion for it, if you have no drive for it, if you have no confidence in your ability for it, then it's not going to be successful for you because you don't know how to operate it. You don't really care to operate it. It's the people that have all three of these, and the business in itself is becoming a growing trend, or you make it a growing trend by starting it. Okay, next. Business startup options. The strategies: create a new and independent business. Financial outlay startups. Some businesses can be started with very low cash, like I was saying with the lawn mowing, or if you already have your license, or depending on which state you live in, license or permit to do hair or nails or anything like that. If you don't, and I don't know about Oklahoma, but in Missouri, where I moved from, to get your to go through school to get your license to be uh, a hairstylist, um, it costs up to $20,000, and it's a year and a half program. So it's not something that you can do overnight, and it isn't something that's inexpensive. Freedom, you have a lot of freedom involved in one way because you don't have anyone telling you what to do, but in another way, you don't have any freedom because you're constantly thinking that you have to be working because this is the only time that you can make the money. There'll never be another 1 o'clock on Monday, August 1st, again, 2020. So you have to make the money now. You don't know when the customers are going to be available. So you're like, well, I have to work because I have customers, and I'll relax when I don't have customers. And so in one way you have freedom, but in another way you don't. In real estate, you have to be available 7 days a week. Whenever customers or clients want to see houses, you have to be available to go show the houses. I had a client come into my office on New Year's Eve in the afternoon, and she laid down. She had left the last realtor after the deal fell through because that realtor had messed up the deal. And her son-in-law told her to come see me because I had sold her son-in-law and daughter a home, and um, there were no problems, no glitches. I mean, it was an easy purchase for them. And so after going through this whole ordeal, she came to me. We spent about 4 hours New Year's Eve, and by I'd say the first week of January, I think it was, we had a house under contract, and they closed on it by the end of January. So uh, it was I had to be available, or otherwise I'd have lost that sale. Business process and systems must be designed and created from scratch. The first thing the broker said when I started real estate was, "What's your system for success?" And I was like, "What's a system?" I had no idea what a system is. So you have to create a system that's unique to you, or you can mimic someone who is successful system and modify it to your personality or your personal strengths, and so that you could create that system. But it depends on the business as to what the system looks like. Support networks, suppliers, banks, anyone that can help you grow your business. A workforce must be hired and trained if you have employees. And customers, base, brand recognition. Um, you really don't need anything like that unless you have something that you're going to need a base if it's a large operation from the very beginning, like Tesla. They had to create that right from the beginning. Financial outlays can be considerable. Again, if you look at Tesla, how much money it would cost to create an electric car manufacturing company and retail operation, enormous amounts of money. And he had to go through public financing and then an IPO, initial public offering, to get the money to keep going. Possibilities for attracting outside funding, which would be like angel investors or other types of investors. Owners' freedom and flexibility, we talked about that. We talked about the rest of those. Okay, next. And now when you're buying a franchise, it's a little bit different because franchises are normally very expensive. You normally don't own anything except the right to operate the franchise. Like McDonald's costs you $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, $5 million, depends on what state, city you're in, and you don't own anything. They own the building, they own the land, they own the equipment, they own everything, and you're there to manage it basically. And you just paid all this money to manage McDonald's. Now, why would you do that? Well, that gets into the advantages and disadvantages of franchises. Obviously, brand recognition is one of the main reasons. And you don't have to learn things. You don't have to create things. You just have to learn them because McDonald's has already created them. So you just learn the McDonald's way of doing things, and it's been proven to be successful. And so you just go along and do what they teach you to do, and your business will more than likely be successful because it is everywhere else for the most part. Business plan document that summarizes a proposed business venture, goals, and plans for achieving those goals. Okay, and then we go down here, and here's the financing possibilities over life of a small business. Okay, so you have private loans, personal lines of credit, credit cards, personal funds. These are all things that you come up with on your own that you could lose if the business goes under. All your own personal thing, personal financing, and personal assets. Then crowdfunding, microloans, angel investors, venture capital, business loans, and public stock once the business is well on its way to being successful. So I hope this was a good introduction to entrepreneurship. Have a great day.